This is the second lecture. It's not second lecture. This lecture is about self-inflicting wounds. So again, this is inflicting upon themselves. In this one, we'll be going through the history of self-wounding, the reasons that people self-wound or self-hurt, injure, the types of wounds you can get, and the punishments. This is the punishments that people do to themselves. Because again, that is self-harm. Person hurting themselves. If someone else is hurting you, it is not self-harm. The history of self-wounding or self-harm is very important because that is the basis of everything. The history of self-harm through cutting can be traced back to the early Mayan culture of bloodletting. This is going to get a bit weird. Now this can go to self-sacrifice or self-mutilation, which is common. It is common to be blood drawn by jabbing spines through the ear or the penis for men. I know. Or even by drawing a thorn-studded cord through the tongue. Exactly, it sounds rather painful. And it was splattered on a piece of paper or otherwise collected as offering to the gods. Now this is obviously you can relate back to Aztecs or whatever to appease the gods or please make sure we win this war or please do this, but that's an entirely different thing. And yet today we are still not being able to find a solution to reducing the self-harm ideation. Now there obviously are links to videos that you can visit and websites that you can visit if you download the PowerPoint presentation from the Open website. Now this is reasons to self-harm is simple and yet it's complicated due to the lack of understanding we have of it. And I'm afraid that the lack of understanding is not primarily a health condition, but it is still being missed by so many professionals and so many people who claim to know what it is. Down here we have a small chart of what it can go for. It's just an endless cycle. So, such as shame or grief, emotional suffering, emotional overload, panic, then there's self-harm, temporary relief. But then you relapse and go back to the beginning again. It's like walking in a circle. It's not going to stop. It's just continuously there. There are many different types of wounds that people can do to themselves. In the most severe case, these are some of the ways of inflicting self-harm or self-wounding. Now, self-injury can involve any of these behaviours, so the usual stereotypical cutting, burning or branding with hot objects. Again, if you're stupid enough to let people do it to you, that is not self-harm. Excessive body piercing or tattooing. Again, lines get crossed between people self-harming and people not. The picking at the skin or reopening wounds, such as when you fall over and something scabs over, so like on the knee, you pick at it repeatedly, that is self-harm. Hair pulling, which does have a scientific name, which is up there, and I'm not going to attempt to say it because I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't be able to. There's head banging, so you've seen it in some of the films like, oh no, side of the head, on tables, on walls, on cupboards, on anything that is a solid surface that will cause injury. Hitting themselves with a hammer or any other object. It doesn't necessarily need to be heavy, but that is usually the case. And then we've got bone breaking, which is the most extreme. As you can see, there is a scale from orange to red, what is the most severe type of self-injury. Bone breaking is, obviously, as it says, it's someone going out of their way to deliberately break their own bones. They could come up with excuses, oh, I fell off a wall, I fell down the stairs, I I slipped, some vague excuse that they have to try and cover up what they're doing. Notice that there are 6 reasons why people do harm themselves. And this is to distract themselves, which is to remove their attention, which is what was said in the first lecture. They're in some form of a stressful situation, or a situation that can't be controlled by them. It's to move their attention away, or to regain control over their own mind, their experience. It is because they feel so overwhelmed and so powerless, they need to find some form of way of controlling what's going on. Releasing tension, that is a fairly common one that people think of. To feel something physical, if you're not feeling emotions, if you can't feel anything, you feel, oh, I'll hurt myself because that just made me cry when I was younger. It makes you feel something. To express themselves, or to communicate. People aren't necessarily good with their words, and this is something that we've forgotten, to talk and just to listen. Or to punish themselves, because they feel like they haven't done enough, they weren't strong enough, they weren't brave enough, so they feel they have to punish themselves for not being, in their own minds, good enough for something, or they should have done something, they shouldn't have done something. Or it's just to experience a temporary feeling of intense euphoria that occurs in the immediate aftermath of self-harm. If they cut too deep, they could feel the panic, they could feel the adrenaline, and it just makes them feel something which links back in with the number 4, to feel something. Because again, remember, self-harm is doing it to yourself, but not doing it to put yourself or your life in danger. There are distraction methods for people who self-harm and a way of taking back control. The self-harm is stating that they do not feel complete in who they are. Some part of them is missing. They are expressing their need for help to relieve pressures that have built up over time. It can be a short period of time, such as a week or even a day, to long periods of time. This can stretch on for years. Unavoidable events, such as bullying, it is as a mechanism of release for the traumatic experience. And as we go on, children are finding more horrible ways to get to you, to get to, not even just children, adults, anyone. We have social media, we have physical people bullying us. There is no escape no matter where we go. So the overwhelming feeling of hating themselves, you've been bullied, there must be something wrong with you. Or it's not just bullying, it can be anything. Just the overall feeling of you've been put in that situation because there's something wrong with you, and you start to hate yourself, and thus relieving the tension of hurting themselves to feel some form of release. Now, these are mainly associated with overwhelming thoughts and emotions, such as I just explained. Now, these can be released by more of one form of self-harm. Again, cutting is generally picked as it happens as a form of self-harm. It's the most common that we are aware of. The release forms some strong emotions in self-harm. It's taking back control. It is them containing and releasing. You can't release your anger, you can't release your emotions, so you release something else. And if it happens to be blood, then so be it. If it happens to be a feeling of pain, then it will be that. Just as long as they don't have to contain anymore.
Disassociation.
And disassociation refers to a self-harmer that needs physical presence of pain. This is people who generally disassociate, generally have experienced a negative effect of some kind and just taken them away from themselves from that event. Disassociative self-harmers genuinely believe that the negative experience has happened to them. They really believe that they have seen this happen to someone else, like a family member or even a person in society. And those whom that self-harm and lack self-expression can articulate the reasons for the event. Professionals should realise that a person who lacks self-expression would not be challenged to answer any questions, should not be challenged to answer any questions. If you're annoyed and someone keeps pressing you and poking you and nudging you, you don't want any of that. You don't want to deal with it because it's making you get angry. It's stressing you out. Exactly as someone was pushing you to answer a question you didn't want to answer. Now, in Module 2, we'll be looking at more ways to help such people come to terms with how to express themselves more. But the problem is, if you go to a doctor or anyone that claims to be professional in self-harm, they'll want you to answer questions, and even frustrate yourself. People only want to be listened to and talk to you in their own terms, in their own mind. Unfortunately, the person who does the self-harming believes that they need to be punished, and this will go to great lengths to do so. People who lack self-expression can tell you why they need to punish you. They can't express it, but they know why. That's my fault, or that's me, why didn't I? But it's a lot about how they feel about themselves. Some have been able to say, because I am worthless and I need punishing. So they have in their own mind that whatever they're in, whatever situation, for whatever case it is, you are worthless and you need punishing. They can tell you that they can tell you why they think they're worthless. Judgmental practice, those who deliberately punish themselves will not help you. But then again, just pushing them for answers is not the best case scenario. It's just going to make them feel horrible. Most self-harmers that use these methods that I've shown today, the cutting, the hair pulling, the most extreme case of bone breaking, for self-harm, there's a sense of euphoria amongst all of this. The feeling that they have achieved their goal. They have released a part of themselves that no longer exists in your mind for that point in time. Like finishing a race, you're going, I've done it, I don't need to do it anymore, I've completed my goal, I've got to where I need to be. Now, do not think that once you have a self-harmer's attention, they will change what they do. They won't. Some say the same, it varies from person to person. Self-harm is episodic, which means after that attempt to self-harm, there's a period of calm. It is relaxed. It's, oh, my life's better. But it only takes one trigger, again, episodic behaviours, it happens over and over again, it can happen once a year, 3 times a year, or so forth. There is no time frame. It's like I said, it's not like someone goes into a calendar and goes, oh, that day, I'll do it then. It's a trigger. Self-harming is a trigger and a coping mechanism. Now, these are some of the references that we have. If you do want to look more into them, please just go on to the PowerPoint, which is online. Thank you for listening.